In the annals of history, we find a plethora of narratives, a multitude of voices, each narrating their unique story into the book of time. What if we could draw out these narratives, bring them forward into our present day conversations, engage with the ideas of those who have shaped our world, even long after they have left it? The notion, once relegated to the world of science fiction, becomes a reality today. Welcome to a groundbreaking episode of Connecting the Dots, a podcast that has always thought of understanding the intersections of thought, society, and liberty for India, Europe, and the world. Today's episode, however, is truly different. An unprecedented endeavor where the passageways of time are traversed not by mere remembrance, but through the astonishing capabilities of generative artificial intelligence. I am your host, Manjari, and in this episode, we'll witness a meeting of minds that, under normal circumstances, would be impossible. With the help of Friedrich Naumann Foundation's commitment to liberal dialogue and AI powered by Thothica, we have the extraordinary opportunity to listen to a dialogue between two titans from the corridors of history. The classical liberal economist and philosopher F.A. Hayek, architect of the Austrian school of economic thought and vocal critic of centralized planning, in conversation with Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first prime minister, a man who laid down the philosophical underpinnings of a nascent nation-state and championed a mixed economy model. These two intellectual giants are conjured from the past to comment on the contemporary, to lend us their insights on India's current trajectory as it aims to reach the vision laid out by Prime Minister Narendra Modi for a developed India by the year 2047. It's a speculative dialogue, yes, but one that promises to be rich with the depth of Hayek's and Nehru's original philosophies and ideological standings. Prepare to be part of history, rewritten and revisited, right here on Connecting the Dots. I am your host, Manjari, and by the way, I too am generated by AI. Prime Minister Nehru and Dr. Hayek, welcome to Connecting the Dots.
Thank you, Manjari, for inviting me.
Indeed, thank you. Looking forward to a wonderful discussion.
I too am looking forward. But before delving into how to make India developed by 2047, I am rather curious to contemplate on the questions of development. What is it? What does it mean for an individual to develop, a region to develop, and a nation to develop? Starting with you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Manjari, for such a gracious introduction to this thought-provoking dialogue. It is indeed a privilege to participate in this virtual confluence of ideas with the esteemed F.A. Hayek, under the auspices of the Friedrich Naumann Foundation and Thothica's cutting-edge technology. Your question, delving into the multifaceted concept of development, evokes profound contemplation. In my view, development is an encompassing journey towards a society where scientific temper and rational thought flourish, unfettered by the shackles of obsolete ideologies and practices. It is not merely an economic phenomenon, though economic progress forms a significant part of it. Development is an integrated process involving the upliftment of the human spirit, the broadening of perspectives, and the betterment of the quality of life for every individual. For an individual, development signifies the realization of their full potential, intellectually, emotionally, and materially. It means breaking free from the constraints of ignorance and want, and embracing the opportunities that education, health, and a stable livelihood provide. It is about individuals achieving a state of self-reliance and dignity. For a region or community, development involves the transcendence from traditional, often feudal structures to more egalitarian democratic ones. It's about communities evolving into spaces where diversity is not merely tolerated but celebrated, where social justice is not an ideal but a reality. At the national level, development embodies the collective progress of its people. It entails building robust institutions that uphold democracy and secularism, ensuring equitable economic growth, and fostering a scientific outlook. A developed nation, in my vision, is not only marked by its industrial prowess or technological advancements, but by the well-being of its citizenry, the vibrancy of its culture, and the strength of its democratic institutions. To achieve this holistic development by 2047, India must tread a path that balances economic growth with social equity. We must harness the potential of technology and innovation, yet ensure that their benefits are evenly distributed. It is crucial to remember that a nation's true progress can be measured not by the height of its skyscrapers or the breadth of its highways, but by the quality of life enjoyed by its least privileged citizen.
Thank you for the brilliant answer, Mr. Prime Minister. You said, a developed nation, in my vision, is not only marked by its industrial prowess or technological advancements, but by the well-being of its citizenry, the vibrancy of its culture, and the strength of its democratic institutions. And for that, you also argued that we should harness the potential of technology and innovation, yet ensure that their benefits are evenly distributed. Now over to you, Dr. F.A. Hayek. How would you respond to this concern of Mr. Prime Minister? Because in my reading, you support more of a procedural justice over distributive one. The idea which, in your opinion, would maximize opportunities for everyone, even if leading to unequal market outcomes. How do you see it interacting with Nehruji's notion of equal distribution? And how is it interacting with Prime Minister Modi's vision for India?
Indeed, Manjari, the contrast between Mr. Nehru's emphasis on equitable distribution and my advocacy for procedural justice paints a vivid tableau of diverging economic philosophies. At the heart of my beliefs lies the conviction that the best outcomes for society emerge not from orchestrated efforts at equal distribution, but from the spontaneous order generated by free individuals operating in a market unhindered by excessive state intervention. It's a theatre where individuals pursue their diverse goals, leading to a tapestry of economic and social outcomes shaped by myriad personal choices. In my perspective, procedural justice, as opposed to distributive justice, underscores the importance of fair and impartial processes rather than specific outcomes. It champions the idea that freedom and property rights under the rule of law are paramount. When individuals are free to innovate, trade, and compete, opportunities expand and societies prosper. While this may lead to unequal outcomes, it also drives the kind of dynamic growth that raises overall living standards. Turning to Mr. Nehru's concerns about ensuring the benefits of technological advancement and innovation are evenly distributed, I appreciate the sentiment, but caution against the pitfalls of overregulation and centralized planning. The attempt to distribute benefits evenly can inadvertently stifle the very mechanisms that generate wealth and innovation. In a free market, wealth is not a fixed pie to be evenly sliced. It is an expanding entity, growing with every entrepreneurial venture, every exchange of goods, every leap of innovation. Regarding Prime Minister Modi's vision for a developed India by 2047, my philosophy would advocate for a framework that maximizes freedom and minimizes undue state interference. This, however, does not imply an abdication of the state's role. The state should focus on creating a conducive environment for the free market to operate, ensuring rule of law, protecting property rights, and fostering open competition. Such an environment is essential for innovation and technological progress, which in turn can lead to a proliferation of opportunities and improved standards of living. The interaction between my viewpoint and Mr. Nehru's notion of equal distribution is indeed complex. A balanced approach might involve recognizing the role of the market in generating wealth and the role of the state in providing a safety net for the truly needy. It is not a zero-sum game, but rather a synergistic approach where the vitality of the market and the supportive role of the state coexist.
Thank you, Dr. Hayek, for your insightful perspective on the interplay between procedural justice, free markets, and the role of the state in fostering development. Your emphasis on the spontaneous order generated by individual freedom and limited state intervention provides a thought-provoking counterpoint to my own views. Building on your response, I would like to pose the following question to Mr. Nehru. Given Dr. Hayek's advocacy for a framework that maximizes individual freedom and minimizes undue state interference, How would you reconcile this with the need to address the profound socio-economic inequalities that characterize post-colonial India? In a context where vast segments of the population were grappling with poverty, illiteracy, and social stratification, how would you envision the role of the state in ensuring a baseline of social welfare and opportunities for all while still allowing for the dynamism of the market to operate? And in other words, how do you strike the balance between the imperative of immediate redistributive measures to alleviate suffering and the longer term goal of fostering a self sustaining economic system that generates wealth and opportunities? Is there a middle ground where the state's interventions are targeted, temporary, and designed to enable greater participation in the market economy over time? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on navigating this delicate balance, given your deep understanding of India's unique challenges and your commitment to both social justice and economic progress. How do you envision the state's role evolving as India moves towards its vision of development by 2047? And how might this vision incorporate elements of Dr. Hayek's philosophy while still addressing the pressing needs of the present?
Ah, Manjari, your multi-layered query, brimming with complexity and depth, is indeed reminiscent of the intricate tapestry that is India itself. Let's endeavor to unravel these threads one by one, shall we? To begin, reconciling the philosophy of minimal state interference, as advocated by Dr. Hayek, with the imperative of addressing socio-economic inequalities in post-colonial India is indeed a formidable challenge. It necessitates a nuanced understanding of India's unique socio-economic fabric, woven with strands of diversity, disparity, and the legacy of colonial rule. In the immediate aftermath of independence, India grappled with pervasive poverty, widespread illiteracy, and entrenched social stratification. The situation demanded not just passive observation of market forces, but proactive intervention by the state. I envisioned the state's role as that of a catalyst and facilitator, not only providing a safety net for the vulnerable, but also laying the foundation for a modern industrial economy that could generate wealth and opportunities over time. The core of this vision was a mixed economy model. It harmonized the dynamism of the market with the redistributive and regulatory roles of the state. In areas where the market was unable to reach or failed to deliver, such as rural infrastructure, basic education, and healthcare, state intervention was imperative. This approach aimed to elmanjarite the living standards of the masses and create conditions conducive to broader market participation. However, your query about finding a middle ground where state interventions are targeted, temporary, and geared towards enabling greater market participation over time is particularly salient. I concur that the state's role should not be eternally expansive. As the market economy matures and socio-economic conditions improve, the state should gradually recalibrate its interventions, shifting from provider to enabler. In envisioning India's path towards the 2047 milestone, incorporating elements of Dr. Hayek's philosophy could mean fostering a robust entrepreneurial spirit, ensuring ease of doing business, and reducing bureaucratic red tape that hinders innovation and efficiency. This would coexist with targeted social welfare programs designed to uplift the marginalized and provide equal opportunities, thus addressing immediate needs while laying the groundwork for long-term sustainable economic growth. As for the state's evolving role, it should transition from direct involvement in economic activities to strengthening the regulatory framework that ensures fairness, transparency, and competition in the market. It should focus on investing in human capital through education and healthcare, thus empowering citizens to participate more effectively in the economy.
The core of this vision was a mixed economy model. It harmonized the dynamism of the market with the redistributive and regulatory roles of the state. Really well put, Mr. Prime Minister. Dr. Hayek, given India's unique historical, social, and economic context, what do you think is the optimal balance between market forces and state intervention in achieving the vision of a developed India by 2047? Mr. Nehru has articulated a model where the state plays a catalytic and facilitating role, particularly in the early stages of development, before transitioning to a more enabling role as the economy matures. He has also emphasized the need for targeted interventions to address poverty and inequality. How do you respond to this perspective? Do you see a role for the state in India's development journey? And if so, how do you envision that role evolving over time as India progresses towards its 2047 vision?
Thank you, Manjari, for framing the discussion with such foresight, seeking to amalgamate different economic ideologies to chart a course for India's future. Mr. Nehru, your model, accentuating a mixed economy where the state initially plays a substantial role before receding to a facilitative position, indeed addresses the immediate needs of a developing nation. It's a pragmatic approach considering India's diverse socio-economic landscape. However, I would offer a perspective rooted in my commitment to free markets and limited state intervention, believing these principles hold significant potential for India's journey towards development by 2047. In my view, the optimal balance between market forces and state intervention should lean more towards fostering an environment conducive to entrepreneurial spirit and innovation. The state's primary role should be to ensure a robust legal framework that upholds property rights, enforces contracts, and maintains the rule of law. This framework is the bedrock upon which free markets operate efficiently and ethically. I do acknowledge the need for the state to intervene, especially in the initial stages of development, in sectors where the market fails, like basic education, healthcare, and infrastructure. However, these interventions should be carefully calibrated to avoid stifling the inherent dynamism of the market. The danger lies in state interventions becoming too pervasive, leading to bureaucratic inertia and hindering economic freedom, which is the engine of growth and innovation. As India progresses, the role of the state should evolve from being a direct participant in the economy to an enabler that fosters a competitive market environment. This transition is crucial for nurturing a self-sustaining economic system. The focus should gradually shift to reducing regulations that hinder entrepreneurial activity, promoting competition, and protecting consumer rights. While I understand your emphasis on targeted interventions to address poverty and inequality, Mr. Nehru, my concern is that prolonged or excessive state control can lead to inefficiencies and eventually hamper economic growth. Redistribution, while well-intentioned, can sometimes undermine the incentives for productivity and innovation, which are vital for long-term prosperity. In the context of India's vision for 2047, integrating elements of both our perspectives could be beneficial. While acknowledging the initial role of the state in establishing a foundation for development, it's imperative to gradually foster a culture where free market principles predominate. This would encourage a thriving private sector, leading to job creation, innovation, and ultimately a higher standard of living for all citizens.
Thank you for that insightful response, Dr. Hayek. Your perspective on the balance between market forces and state intervention provides a valuable counterpoint to consider as we envision India's path to development. Mr. Nehru, Dr. Hayek has articulated a vision where the state's role evolves from being a direct participant in the economy to an enabler that fosters a competitive market environment. He emphasizes the importance of a robust legal framework, property rights, and the rule of law in creating the conditions for free markets to thrive. While he acknowledges the need for some state intervention, particularly in the early stages of development and in sectors where the market may fail, he cautions against prolonged or excessive state control, which he believes can lead to inefficiencies and stifle economic growth. In light of Dr. Hayek's perspective, how would you refine or adapt your vision for the state's role in India's development journey? Do you see merit in his argument for a gradual transition towards a more market-oriented economy as India progresses?
Manjari, your inquiry effectively bridges the gap between two philosophies, leading us to the crossroads where the ideals of state intervention and market dynamics converge in the context of India's journey towards development. Dr. Hayek's perspective, underscoring the essence of a market-oriented economy, is certainly compelling. It accentuates the value of individual enterprise and the dynamism of a free market, which are undeniably powerful engines for economic growth and innovation. Indeed, There is merit in his argument for a gradual transition towards a more market-oriented economy, especially as India matures and diversifies its economic base. However, in refining my vision for India's development journey, it is imperative to consider the unique socio-economic tapestry of our nation. India's diversity, its historical context of colonial rule, and its post-independence challenges necessitate a balanced approach that harmonizes state intervention with market forces. The role of the state, as I envision it, should be dynamic and responsive to the changing needs of society. In the early stages of development, the state must play a more pronounced role, not just in regulating and redistributing, but also in laying the groundwork for a robust economic infrastructure. This includes investing in education, healthcare, and rural development, ensuring that the fruits of economic growth are accessible to all segments of society, particularly the marginalized. As India progresses, the state should indeed transition towards a more enabling role, creating an ecosystem where entrepreneurship and innovation can thrive. This shift would involve streamlining regulations, promoting competition, and safeguarding property rights, as Dr. Hayek rightly points out. The focus should be on empowering individuals and communities, fostering a culture of self-reliance, and nurturing a resilient and diversified economy. It is essential, however, to maintain a delicate balance. While embracing market principles, we must not lose sight of the state's responsibility towards social justice and equity. Targeted interventions to address disparities in education, health, and opportunity should continue, ensuring that no citizen is left behind in the march towards progress. The vision for a developed India by 2047 should be inclusive, where economic prosperity is interwoven with social well-being. In essence, the path to development is not a linear one, nor is it uniform. It must be tailored to the unique needs and aspirations of India, drawing from the wisdom of both market dynamics and thoughtful state intervention. In this journey, the teachings of both myself and Dr. Hayek can coalesce to create a framework that is resilient, equitable, and conducive to the flourishing of a nation in its fullest sense.
Mr. Nehru and Dr. Hayek, your perspectives on the evolving role of the state in India's development journey have been truly enlightening. Mr. Nehru, you've emphasized the need for a dynamic and responsive state that adapts to the changing needs of society, while Dr. Hayek, you've highlighted the importance of fostering a market-oriented economy with limited government intervention. Building on this, I'd like to explore how your respective philosophies would guide policy decisions in specific domains such as education and healthcare. These sectors are critical for India's development, both in terms of human capital formation and overall social well-being. Starting with you, Dr. Hayek, you lay emphasis on free markets and individual choice. How do you envision the delivery of education and healthcare services in India? What role, if any, should the government play in regulating these sectors and ensuring minimum standards of quality and accessibility?
Manjari, your question probes the heart of how foundational sectors such as education and healthcare can be harmonized with the principles of free market and individual choice. In my philosophy, the primary role of the government in sectors like education and healthcare is to create an environment where choice and competition can thrive. This approach, rooted in the belief that free markets and individual initiative are the most efficient means for resource allocation, can drive innovation and improve quality in these essential services. Regarding education, the focus should be on fostering a diverse ecosystem of educational institutions. This diversity can be achieved through a combination of public, private, and charitable entities. The government's role should be to ensure that basic education is accessible to all, especially the underprivileged, while encouraging a competitive environment among educational providers. This competition can lead to improved quality, innovation in teaching methods, and greater responsiveness to the needs of students and parents. A voucher system, for instance, could be an effective tool. It allows parents to choose the best educational institution for their children, irrespective of their socioeconomic status. This choice injects a healthy competitive pressure into the system, compelling schools to continuously improve and innovate to attract students. In the realm of healthcare, while the free market should predominantly drive service delivery, the government has a crucial role in ensuring minimum standards of quality and accessibility. This can be achieved through a regulatory framework that sets and enforces quality standards, promotes transparency, and protects patient rights. Additionally, the government should focus on public health measures and providing a safety net for the poorest, who might be excluded from private health care due to cost barriers. Public-private partnerships could be a viable model, blending the efficiency and innovation of private players with the government's focus on equity and accessibility. This model can extend quality healthcare services to wider sections of society, including those who might not be able to afford private care. The key is to find a balance where the state provides a regulatory framework and a safety net for the most vulnerable, while allowing market mechanisms to drive quality, innovation, and choice in education and healthcare. This approach can lead to a more dynamic and responsive system that meets the diverse needs of India's population and contributes to the country's overall development.
Now, over to you, Mr. Nehru. Given your vision of a mixed economy and the state's responsibility towards social justice, how would you approach reforms in education and healthcare? What role should the state play in ensuring equitable access to quality education and healthcare services, especially for marginalized communities? How would you differ from Mr. Hayek, and where do you meet him?
Thank you, Manjari. The sectors of education and healthcare are indeed pivotal in the fabric of any nation's development, and they hold a place of utmost significance in my vision for India. In a country as vast and diverse as ours, with deep socio-economic disparities, the role of the state in these sectors is not just beneficial, but necessary to ensure equitable access and quality. In education, my approach would be to view it as a fundamental right for every citizen, integral to the empowerment and upliftment of individuals and communities. The state must play a proactive role in building and maintaining an education system that is accessible, affordable, and of high quality for all, irrespective of their socio-economic background. This would involve significant investment in public education, from primary to higher levels, ensuring that even the most marginalized sections have access to quality learning opportunities. Furthermore, while fostering a mix of public and private educational institutions, the state must ensure that private players adhere to certain standards and remain accessible to various sections of society. Scholarships, grants, and other forms of support could be provided to students from underprivileged backgrounds, ensuring that economic barriers do not impede access to quality education. In the realm of healthcare, my philosophy aligns with the principle that health is a fundamental right, and not a commodity to be transacted solely on market terms. The state should be the guarantor of this right, ensuring that every citizen has access to quality healthcare services. This means significant investment in public healthcare infrastructure, making healthcare services available and accessible to all, particularly in rural and underserved areas. However, acknowledging the limitations and challenges faced by public healthcare systems, a partnership with the private sector is essential. This partnership should be structured in a way that complements and supplements the public healthcare system, without compromising on the accessibility and affordability for the poorer sections of society. Where I would differ from Dr. Hayek is in the degree of reliance on market forces to deliver these essential services, while he advocates for a greater role of market mechanisms and individual choice. I emphasize a more substantial role of the state, particularly in ensuring that the disadvantaged and marginalized have access to these services. Yet where we meet is in acknowledging that neither system, purely state-driven nor entirely market-based, can effectively address the needs of a diverse and complex society like India on its own. A synergistic approach where the state provides the framework and foundation, and the market contributes efficiency and innovation, seems to be a pragmatic path forward for India's development in education and healthcare sectors.
Mr. Prime Minister, you very emphasized the state's proactive role in building an education system that is accessible, affordable, and of high quality for all, irrespective of their socioeconomic background, and should be the guarantor of the fundamental right to health, ensuring that every citizen has access to quality healthcare services. And yet, you were open to a synergistic approach, where the state provides the framework and foundation, and the market contributes efficiency and innovation, is a pragmatic path forward for India's development in education and healthcare sectors. It seems even Mr. Nehru is captivated by the magic of markets. Mr. Hayek, building on the discussion of integrating free market principles in sectors like education and healthcare, I'm interested in your personal insights. What mesmerizing elements of the market's invisible hand captivate you the most? And how does it connect with the broader notion of making India a developed nation? And where would you meet Mr. Nehru?
Manjari, the invisible hand of the market, a concept so elegantly described by Adam Smith, captivates me most profoundly through its ability to coordinate the actions of countless individuals, each with their own desires and knowledge, into a harmonious order that no central planner could ever hope to achieve. This spontaneous order, arising from the interactions of free individuals pursuing their own interests, creates a symphony of economic activity, innovation, and resource allocation that is as efficient as it is dynamic. The most mesmerizing aspect of the market's invisible hand is its capacity for discovery and innovation. In a free market, entrepreneurs and businesses are constantly seeking to meet the needs and desires of consumers, often in ways that were previously unimagined. This ceaseless quest for innovation leads to technological advancements, improvements in service delivery, and the creation of new products, which in turn drive economic growth and improve standards of living. In the context of making India a developed nation, the principles of the free market are crucial. They empower entrepreneurs, stimulate investment, and encourage competition, all of which are essential for economic growth and development. A market-oriented approach fosters an environment where businesses can thrive, generating employment and fostering wealth creation, which is critical for a nation's economic status. However, where I would meet Mr. Nehru is in acknowledging the role of the state in ensuring that the market operates within a framework of law and order, and in providing a safety net for the most vulnerable. The state should ensure that markets function efficiently and fairly, preventing monopolies and other market failures. It should also invest in public goods like infrastructure, education, and basic health care, which provide the foundation upon which a vibrant market economy can be built. In essence, while I advocate for the magic of the market, I also recognize the need for a state that sets the rules of the game and ensures that the market serves the broader interests of society. This intersection of our philosophies could form a solid foundation for India's journey towards becoming a developed nation by 2047.
Thank you for the insightful discussion so far, Mr. Nehru and Dr. Hayek. Your perspectives on the economic aspects of India's development, particularly the roles of the state and the market, have been truly enlightening. However, the vision of a developed India by 2047 extends beyond just economic progress. It also encompasses social, political, and cultural dimensions that are crucial for the holistic well-being of the nation and its people. With that in mind, I would like to shift our focus to these non-economic aspects. How do you envision India's social, political, and cultural landscape evolving as the country progresses towards its development goals? What role should the state and civil society play in fostering social harmony, strengthening democratic institutions, and preserving India's rich cultural heritage while embracing modernity? Mr. Nehru, given your commitment to secularism, democracy, and social justice, I am particularly interested in your thoughts on how these ideals can be further strengthened and ingrained in India's development journey.
Manjari, your question touches the very essence of what I believe constitutes the soul of a nation. As India strides towards its envisioned future, the social, political, and cultural landscapes must evolve in tandem with economic progress, harmonizing modernity with the rich tapestry of our heritage. Socially, the bedrock of our progress must be built on the ideals of equality and social justice. India's diverse society with its myriad cultures, religions, and languages, demands a steadfast commitment to secularism, a state where every creed and community is respected and where their rights are protected. As India develops, this commitment to secularism must deepen, not merely in law but in the everyday lives of its people. The state and civil society must work together to eradicate social evils, promote gender equality, and ensure that no section of society is left behind or marginalized. Education plays a pivotal role here, not just in imparting knowledge, but in nurturing empathy, tolerance, and a sense of shared destiny. Politically, strengthening democratic institutions is paramount. Democracy is not just a system of governance, but a way of life, embodying the values of freedom, dialogue, and pluralism. Ensuring the independence of the judiciary, the vibrancy of the press, and the integrity of electoral processes is crucial. Civil society, with its diverse organizations and institutions, must be an active participant in the democratic process, holding the state accountable and voicing the concerns of the common people. Culturally, India's rich heritage is a treasure that must be preserved even as we embrace modernity. Our languages, arts, music, and traditions are not relics of the past, but living, evolving expressions of our collective identity. The state should foster an environment where these cultural expressions are celebrated and where artists and artisans are supported. This cultural vibrancy, in turn, strengthens our social fabric and contributes to our nation's soft power on the global stage. In all these aspects, the balance between preserving our heritage and embracing modernity is delicate. Modernity should not be equated with a blind imitation of the West, but should be seen as a process of renewal and growth, rooted in our own experiences and aspirations.
Mr. Nehru, your vision for India's social, political, and cultural evolution is truly inspiring. Your emphasis on secularism, equality, and social justice as the bedrock of India's progress resonates deeply. The importance you place on strengthening democratic institutions, fostering cultural vibrancy, and finding a balance between preserving heritage and embracing modernity is commendable. Your insights highlight the critical role of the state and civil society in realizing this vision. Dr. Hayek, I believe your perspective on decentralized knowledge and the role of law in ensuring liberty can complement and enrich Mr. Nehru's vision in significant ways. What do you think?
Manjari, the essence of my philosophy, which emphasizes decentralized knowledge and the paramount role of law in ensuring liberty, indeed offers a nuanced complement to Mr. Nehru's vision for India's evolution. In the context of India's social development, the principle of decentralized knowledge underscores the belief that the wisdom required for societal advancement does not reside solely in any central authority. It is dispersed among the myriad individuals who make up society. This decentralization advocates for a bottom-up approach to social issues, where local communities and civil society play a crucial role in identifying and addressing their unique challenges. Such an approach not only respects the diversity inherent in Indian society, but also encourages local solutions that are more in tune with the needs and aspirations of different groups, thereby complementing Mr. Nehru's emphasis on social justice and equality. Politically, my advocacy for the rule of law aligns with Mr. Nehru's commitment to strengthening democratic institutions. The rule of law is fundamental to a functioning democracy. It ensures that all, including the state, are bound by law, providing a stable framework within which freedom and democratic participation can flourish. It's essential for protecting individual rights and maintaining social order, both crucial for the healthy functioning of a democracy. This legal framework, when robust and impartial, provides the bedrock upon which democratic institutions can be built and sustained. Culturally, while my focus is primarily on economic and political structures, I acknowledge the profound impact of cultural evolution on a nation's development. The diversity of cultures, beliefs, and traditions, as seen in India, is a testament to the decentralized nature of knowledge and expression. Encouraging a cultural milieu where diverse expressions are freely explored and celebrated under the aegis of law and individual freedom can significantly enrich India's social fabric. This aligns with Mr. Nehru's vision of preserving heritage while embracing modernity, ensuring that cultural evolution is organic and reflective of the society's diverse voices. Therefore, while my perspective originates in economic theory, its implications extend into the social, political, and cultural realms. The interplay of decentralized knowledge, the rule of law, and individual liberty offers a complementary framework to Mr. Nehru's vision, enriching the multifaceted journey of India towards a holistic and inclusive development.
Before we conclude, I have one final question for both of you. As India progresses towards its vision for 2047, it will undoubtedly face numerous challenges and obstacles along the way. These could range from issues of poverty and inequality to the impacts of climate change and geopolitical tensions. In light of these potential challenges, what advice would you offer to India's leaders, policymakers, and citizens as they navigate this complex landscape? What core principles or values should guide India's decision making and actions in the face of adversity? Mr. Nehru, with your experience in leading India through its early years of independence, and Dr. Hayek, with your deep understanding of the forces that shape societies and economies, I believe your insights on this question would be invaluable for India as it charts its course towards the future.
Manjari, your question strikes at the heart of what it means to lead a nation through transformative times. As India navigates the challenges on its path to development, our guiding light must be an unwavering commitment to our core values and principles. The first and foremost among these is a steadfast dedication to democracy and the rule of law. In the face of adversity, it is easy to be tempted by the allure of authoritarianism, to seek quick fixes at the expense of democratic processes. However, it is precisely in these moments that we must hold firm to our democratic ideals, ensuring that every voice is heard and that the rights of every citizen are protected. Our strength lies in our diversity and our ability to find consensus amidst differences. Secondly, we must never lose sight of the principle of social justice. As India grows and prospers, it is crucial that this growth is inclusive, that the fruits of development reach every segment of society. Policymakers must prioritize the upliftment of the marginalized and the empowerment of the disadvantaged. In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, recall the face of the poorest and the weakest man whom you may have seen, and ask yourself if the step you contemplate is going to be of any use to him. Lastly, in the face of global challenges like climate change, India must take a leadership role in promoting sustainable development. Our ancient philosophy of living in harmony with nature must guide our modern developmental practices. We must invest in clean technologies, renewable energy, and green infrastructure, ensuring that our growth is not at the cost of our environment. To the citizens of India, my message would be to never lose hope, to never stop striving. The path ahead may be arduous, but it is also filled with tremendous opportunities. It is the energy, the innovation, and the indomitable spirit of our people that will propel India forward. In the immortal words of Rabindranath Tagore, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, into that heaven of freedom, my father, let my country awake.
Indeed, Manjari, the challenges India faces on its path to development are considerable, but not insurmountable. The key to navigating this landscape lies in adhering to the principles of individual liberty, free markets, and the rule of law. As India encounters obstacles, it is crucial that its leaders resist the temptation to centralize power and control. The most effective solutions often emerge from the bottom up, from the ingenuity and enterprise of individuals and local communities. The role of the state should be to create an enabling environment where these solutions can flourish, not to impose top-down diktats. This means upholding the principles of economic freedom, ensuring that markets are allowed to function with minimal interference. It means fostering a culture of entrepreneurship and innovation, where individuals are incentivized to take risks and create value. And it means maintaining a robust legal framework that protects property rights and enforces contracts, providing the stability and predictability necessary for economic activity to thrive. At the same time, India must also invest in building resilience, particularly in the face of challenges like climate change. This resilience comes not just from infrastructure and technology, but also from strong institutions and social capital. Policymakers must focus on decentralizing decision-making, empowering local communities to adapt and respond to challenges in ways that are contextually real manjarant. To the citizens of India, my advice would be to never stop learning, never stop adapting. In a world that is constantly changing, it is the ability to acquire new knowledge and skills that will be the key to success. Embrace the opportunities that come with change, and don't be afraid to challenge the status quo. Ultimately, the path to development is not just about economic indicators and growth rates. It is about creating a society where every individual has the freedom and the opportunity to pursue their dreams, to realize their full potential. It is about building a nation that is not just prosperous, but also just, inclusive, and sustainable. As India stands at this crucial juncture in its history, I am confident that by holding true to these principles, by harnessing the dynamism of its people and the power of its institutions, it can overcome any challenge and achieve its vision for 2047 and beyond.
Mr. Nehru and Dr. Hayek, your concluding thoughts beautifully capture the essence of what India must strive for as it navigates the path to development. Your emphasis on upholding democracy, ensuring inclusive growth, promoting sustainable practices, fostering individual liberty, building resilience, and embracing change provides a powerful framework for India's leadership and people to guide their actions and decisions. As we conclude this truly remarkable dialogue, I am filled with a sense of hope and determination. The insights you have shared, the wisdom you have imparted, and the visions you have articulated will undoubtedly serve as a beacon for India as it charts its course towards 2047 and beyond. This conversation has reinforced the belief that India's development journey is not just about economic progress, but about building a nation that embodies the values of democracy, social justice, individual freedom, and sustainability. It is about creating a society where every citizen has the opportunity to thrive, where diversity is celebrated, and where the common good is upheld. To the leaders and policymakers of India, your words serve as a clarion call to lead with integrity, to make decisions that prioritize the welfare of the most vulnerable, and to create an environment that unleashes the potential of every individual. To the citizens of India, your messages inspire us to be active participants in our nation's development, to innovate, to adapt, and to never lose sight of the values that define us as a people. As we embark on this transformative journey, let us draw strength from the wisdom of our past, the resilience of our present, and the promise of our future. Let us work together, guided by the principles and values that you have so eloquently articulated, to build an India that is not just a global economic powerhouse, but also a beacon of democracy, social equity, and sustainability. On behalf of everyone tuning in today, thank you, Mr. Nehru and Dr. Hayek, for this truly enriching and thought-provoking conversation. Your legacy continues to inspire and guide us as we work towards building a better, brighter future for India and all its citizens. To our listeners, thank you for joining us on this historic occasion. We hope that this dialogue has sparked new ideas, inspired fresh perspectives, and reinforced the importance of engaging with the great thinkers of our past as we shape our present and future. Until next time, this is Manjari, signing off from this special episode of Connecting the Dots, powered by Thothica and Friedrich Naumann Foundation. Keep dreaming, keep innovating, and keep striving towards the India we all aspire to build.